Right, are we on? Sorry. Sorry about that. We're here. Are we here? Are we here? I'm coming. Yay. Somebody tell me in the chat I'm here. Sorry, it's my worst nightmare. These webinars, I got myself in the wrong studio, but I'm here now. Yes, everyone can see me. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late. I don't know if you've got any idea, but I manage all the tech myself. I'm not the best. I am a creative. I know I've done hundreds of these webinars, but I got myself into the wrong online recording studio. Anyway, let me close that. Yeah, brilliant. I'm here. Hello, 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 hello. And you've all been chatting amongst yourselves. You've all found the chat bar. So that's really great. So that means, oh, Lynn says she can see and hear me. I love that, Lynn. That is a relief. So we're going to spend an hour together. Just what I want to do is there's two things I want to do with this hour that we've got together. I want to really celebrate all of you. Over 2,000 of you signed up for this webinar tonight, which I think, given the circumstances, is absolutely phenomenal. It's brilliant. I absolutely love you guys. So let's all just be in the chat, be together, and celebrate how much we love our home. So it's going to be a celebration of our home and why I think interior design and indulging in your passion for interiors is so important. We're going to have a little insight in that. And then I thought it would be really nice to show you my design process because, as you know, I have an online interior design school. I have a podcast. You probably know that I've got a newsletter that goes out every week. I've got an Instagram, and I'm always sharing tidbits of information. And this is just a really nice opportunity for me to show you my design process from A to B. It gives you a bit of an insight in the sort of stuff I teach on my interior design school as well. So if any of you have got any projects on the go, this is going to be great for you. If anybody of you are thinking about being an interior designer, it gives you an insight into the sort of stuff we do. If you just like looking at pretty pictures and hanging out with like-minded people, it's a win-win. So let's crack on, shall we? Let me see. If anything, are you hearing me now? People are saying they've lost the sound. I'm really hoping you haven't lost the sound. If you have lost the sound, then maybe you can watch it on the replay. Sometimes it's to do with internet. But let's see. How do I do that? Oh, yeah, there you go. There I am. Sound back. Brilliant. Well, let's keep me chatting in this little box here to the left. Maybe that's what's making the difference. Who knows? Oh, yes, I'm back, says Dina. Brilliant. Right. So create your dream home. This is my first slide. This is my dream home right here. Always had a dream to have a chintzy pattern sofa. And then I finally got myself one. And there she is in all her resplendent gorgeousness in my front room. Shelley wants to know where I am. I'm in my office, Shelley. Right, let's go on to this. Right, I thought I'd start this webinar with something that I'm not sure I've shared with you guys before. I'd love to know as well how many of you are students of my design school, how many of you have already done some of my courses. I'm not sure I've ever really shared any of this. So this is fascinating stuff, and it's something that has influenced what I do in my career and, of course, with my interior design school a lot. And this was a piece of research that was done through to 2018 to 2019. Oh, look, we've got lots of students in here. I love that. Brilliant, brilliant. Yes, Eleni, Gracie, Anna, and Paul says not yet. So we've got a few not yet students as well. Vanessa says she's done many. Oh, I recognise you, Vanessa Edwards, from the Facebook group. Lovely to have you here this evening, Vanessa. Gorgeous. Right, so home happiness. This is a piece of research data that was carried out through 2018 and 2019 by, there is such a thing as, the Happiness Research Institute in Copenhagen. And they did an enormous piece of very scientific, in-depth research into what makes people happy. I've got the stats here somewhere. This is all available online. You can look it up, the Good Home Report. It's like 40, 50 pages long or something. They had over 13,000 respondents, 10 countries throughout Europe. They asked them 44 questions, all about what made them happy. And look, these are the results. So the thing that makes us most happy in life, the largest part of this chart, is our mental health at 17%, which I think you probably all agree is pretty obvious. Good state of mind, good mental well-being helps us feel happy in life. And then they've got other things on here: physical health, your job, your income. Yes, how much money you earn or have in the bank. Your civil status, so that's sort of like social status, your social standing in the community. And then your home score. And you know, home happiness came number 2 in all of this. Almost, I think it's something like 3 times. It's 3 times more important than how much money you earn. Isn't that astonishing? I love that fact, because we put so much effort into earning money, don't we? And yet it's actually only responsible for 3% of our happiness. So I think, first of all, isn't that fascinating that I sometimes think we're going to find happiness in places by owning stuff, possessions, I don't know, holidays, get that perfect body, get the perfect handbag, get that perfect man. No, get that perfect home, people. It's up there. So that's up there as number 2, and then obviously physical health follows that at number 3 at 14%. So mental health, physical health, and home happiness all very, very, very close together. Claire comments here in the comments saying home is where the heart is. Indeed, and I think you lot probably already know that, but I think this is a really good thing to have in your back pocket if you're ever trying to justify your home improvements or your restyling of your home, is to really understand. Well, here's another stat for you: 73% of people who are happy in their home are happy in their life. So it's sort of this, what it is if you can feel happy in your home, it just crosses over. It's sort of intrinsic to so many other areas in your life. And it's to do with the fact that, let's have another slide, shall we? Your home is it's kind of where we base ourselves from, really. It's kind of like the starting point. It's kind of where we really ground ourselves. Here are some quotes from the research that I've pulled out from some of the respondents who they interviewed. Here we've got Vanessa from Northern Ireland, says, "My home is my own sanctuary." She says, "My job is very social. I like to come home and just relax, not be bothered by anyone." Is there anyone who can relate to that? So there is this element that our home is somewhere where we can retreat to, that we can get away from, whether it's the job stress or, quite frankly, what's going on in the world. It's somewhere of safety. Ellen's quote: "I feel at home here. Our home has our identity in it. It makes me feel that it is connected to myself." And this is another huge piece of intel that came out of this research, which I think is particularly interesting for us when we're talking in the realm of interior design. That it's about self-identity, your home being an expression of who you really are. So, you know, not living in that beige barrack box of a home that doesn't have any personality to it. Yeah, you know, it might be somewhere that's a retreat, that's comfortable, that's safe, but to go that extra mile and really actualize your happiness and really ramp it up to the full amount, there's something about feeling happy where you have to have an element of self-expression. I thought that was really, really interesting. Diana here, a quote: "My home is an extension of my soul." So really quite spiritual, people who they were. And what's really interesting about this piece of research is they, as I said, 10 different countries, the demographic, it was male, female, young, old, renters, homeowners, really single married families, really across the board, like a really broad breadth of people. The other thing that was really interesting insight that I'll drop in here while we're talking about it is, I know here in the UK, we're very obsessed with home ownership. And I think probably because it allows us to have a real self-expression, right? If you own your home, you can decide what wallpaper you're going to have, you can paint it, you can fix it up. We'll get into that a bit later. But interestingly, this research showed that homeowners were only a smidge happier than renters. It might be to do that a lot of European countries have fantastic tenancy setups. I'm not sure it's so brilliant here in the UK. Apparently, like in Germany, it's half and half. I don't know if you've got any from Germany on the webinar tonight, but half people own, half people rent, and they have a very good rental system over in Germany. So that's all fascinating stuff, isn't it? And I'd like to think that if anybody is renting, have we got any renters here on the webinar tonight, that you will get, this isn't just for people who are renovating, you know, on my online design school, especially the colour psychology course and the bold, brave and beautiful course, totally useful for people who are renting. Gemma mentions that she's a renter and she's lucky her landlord lets her make it her home, so long as she puts it back afterwards. Exactly. Paul says very secure tenancies in Holland too. It's a joy to rent there. Yeah. Gemma's a renter from Germany. Hi, Gemma. So yeah, thought that was a really interesting fact. What else have we got on here? My home is a refuge, my castle, because I feel safe, I feel protected, and I don't feel in danger. I don't feel that there is anybody who's going to come and bother me. I feel safe within these walls. I feel safe. Yeah, shut the door and shut the world out. So I think this is where I wanted to start from this point, is just really kind of honouring how important our homes are to us, how important our homes are to our well-being, and therefore also how the tool of interior design, making your home reflect your identity, also comfort and things like that, we're all going to get into. This is a nice little quote that I also pulled out of the research. Our home spaces are a reflection of our lives and who we are and where we've been. And that's Lindsay Graham, psychologist. They tell our story, don't they? They tell our story. And again, I think the way we decorate, style our homes, the colour, the artwork, the patterns, the family photos, the heirlooms, the collections, all pull together in our home and tell our story. And I suppose as an interior designer and an educator, that's what I'm really passionate about, is helping people tell their stories through their interior design. A few Cameron on here says Sophie has a blog post that features a Wonder Woman who's amazing with rentable friendly changes. Yes, that is, the name, Amara. And she is Pajama Hub on Instagram. She is amazing. Her home is just like to die for, and she rents, and it's all peelable, stickable stuff. It's so clever. So there's lots of inspiration out there for people who rent. And okay, so here we are. So what makes a dream home? We've kind of touched on this already. It's an expression of who you are, and it tells your story. I think it's also an opportunity to reflect your passion for design and beautiful things. Again, I'm sure loads of you here on the webinar tonight love gorgeous stuff, love feathering your nest. So it's not just about getting it decorated. There was something really interesting as well in the, we get into that, don't we? I've got a slide. Oh no, what happened to that? This is the slide I missed. I was like, where's that slide gone? Yes, this 5 core emotions that the research pulled out, that happiness is in our home. We've already touched on this, goes hand in hand with our overall happiness as humans. And there are 5 core emotions that really are the pillars of home happiness: pride, comfort, identity. I've talked about safety and control. And what's interesting is, out of all of these core emotions, pride was 44% of the pie chart towards happiness. And I thought this was this was worth exploring, what this means to feel proud about our homes. And it can mean different things to different people, I think, sometimes. I mean, I know probably here we've got loads of fixer-uppers and renovators, I of which am in that camp. And there is nothing Oh, you just got to watch shows like Grand Designs or anything like that, haven't you, to see how proud people feel once they've renovated a property. That feeling of taking something that's broken and fixing it and making it sort of shiny and new again. So I think there is in proud in fixing up a homes. I was thinking as well that quite often people's homes can be somewhere where they show off things that they're proud of. It might be their money status. It might be, look how much money I've made in my fabulous home. I'm so proud of myself. You know, it can just be literally that, like an asset. It can be showing off your creativity and how artistic you are and how well you put things together. How beautifully presented your home is can give you a sense of pride. I mean, I sort of really explore elements of that, like at Christmas. For me, it's all about making my home look lovely to make people feel special when they come and stay with us and enter my home. So I think it's, again, just knowing that if you are a serial fixer-upper, if you are an interiors fanatic, if you're always buying too many cushions, give yourself a break. It's allowed. It's all about creating that feeling of pride and joy. The second point here at 25% was this feeling of comfort in the home, and that comes with creating a home that makes you feel at ease, which is stress-free, which is always also a retreat from troubles. And interestingly, I shared this morning on my Instagram feed a reel of us doing up our house. In fact, Kate and I on the podcast next week, on the Great Indoors podcast next week, we've got a whole special around renovations and renovation nightmares, because Kate's been renovating her new house and she's been so stressed and unhappy. And I think it's because we're out of our comfort zone, aren't we, when we've got the builders in? Again, I'm married to a builder. He totally knows how stressful it is for people having the builders in. It's the dust, it's the not having water, it's the noise, it might be cold, nowhere's where it should be, everything's packed in boxes. We all know how stressful that can be. So again, just having everything quite as you want it, planning in enough storage, having things well organized, is really important. And there was something else. Again, I've just been looking at this data today in preparation for this, just refreshing my memory. There was something about, in terms of comfort and feeling at ease at home, the most important room to have up and together is the bathroom. Isn't that interesting? Apparently that's the most important room in the house for feeling like, if you've got a bathroom that's not really working or isn't finished or is tatty or messy or disorganized, then that's the thing. And I've always had a piece of advice for people who are renovating. I always say, do the bathroom first, because when your house is in chaos or you're decorating or doing DIY and you're getting really dirty and really dusty, going into a nice clean bathroom in the evening and having a good wash and feeling clean and renewed, I think is more important than any other rooms in the house. That's my tip for renovators. Then we've got identity we talked about, which I think starts coming in with the colors you choose, the designs you choose, the styling. We're going to get into that a lot more in this webinar, because that's something I'm really passionate about, helping people discover what their true, authentic identity is. And then, of course, an element of safety and control comes into this, as well as core emotions. That's not something I go into so much, but that might just be financial control over your home, and obviously all being up and together in a safe place to retreat to. There we go. Interesting stuff. We've already the spiral. Somebody's asked me to put a link to this research at the end of the thing. Yeah, I will absolutely do that. That is a brilliant idea. To the Good Home Report. You can also Google it, Good Home Report, the Happiness Research Institute. But I will definitely, I'll pop it in a link in the description of the YouTube video after this, and you can see it there. That's an excellent idea. Happy to do that, because honestly, it's super fascinating. Like I said, look, I mean, this is it. It's a massive wodge of 40 pages, but it's a downloadable PDF from the internet. It's great. Right, okay, let's keep going. Okay, so what makes a dream home? That's the whole topic of today's webinar. So an expression tells you your story, reflects your passions for designing beautiful things. This is what I think a dream home is. It's also an opportunity for creative expression. I think this is a really important thing as well. I think for many of us, if you know, for anybody to feel creative in their homes. Now, look, I am a creative. I've chosen as a career. I get to be creative every single day in my job. But what I also realize, again, from my online design school, is I bring in a lot of people who don't have a creative outlet. Maybe they don't get to be creative in their jobs. And their home is a perfect place to explore that creativity, the joy of color, of pattern, of proportion, of style, of shape, combining different things together. So I absolutely love to teach people how to unleash their creativity. So it's not about copycat interiors. It's not about following a painting by numbers route to interior design. It's very much about exploring everybody has some creativity, learning the know-how, getting the facts under your belt, having a framework to work to, understanding the technology, and then having fun with it. A dream home also works for you and your family on every level, both practical and emotional. So I think there's those two things: a home that works, layout, storage, lighting, heating, spatial planning, really important. But then on an emotional level, how does the room make you feel? That is at the core. And I think this is what's really important when you're talking about dream home and happiness. It's not just about the paint color or the decor or the furniture or picking the kitchen tap. It's about looking at interior design on a much deeper emotional level. And that's when you create a home that really deeply resonates with you. And that's the dream, right? That's the dream right there, I think. So I've just thrown in here, it's not about following trends. You don't get any of that from me. We love talking about trends on the podcast. Of course we do, because they're there to inspire us. They give us ideas, but they're not to be followed. You have to do the work yourself. I'm a really firm believer of that. If you're going to create your dream home, you can't just copy what's going on out there, listening to your friends or experts or copying off Pinterest. You've got to do the work and discover what you authentically love. And then you're unstoppable. Like it's really quite amazing. The color psychology for interiors course I teach is the one that really, if you're not sure, I mean, quite frankly, it should be compulsory. Everyone should do that course. It's absolutely mind-blowing. But that's the one that gets really, really deep. So where do we start? Not here. How many people start their decorating scheme? You know, you've either got the builders in, or you've booked the builders, or you're staring at the 4 blank walls of your new build, and you pick up a paint chart and go, right, what color am I going to paint the walls? This happens so often. Or people go, right, just moved in, need to buy a sofa. What sofa shall I buy? Either they go completely off piste and get one in like a really bright color, like a teal or something, and then don't know what goes with it, or they just pick a beige sofa because they believe it will go with anything and they can worry about it later. So again, on the Interior Design School, I help give you an A to Z process to follow, which doesn't start with picking a paint chart. That comes quite late in the process, actually. It's all about following the design process in a methodical way that makes sense. And this is what I'm going to share with you over the next half an hour. So begin with your inspiration. I want you to be able to think like an interior designer, and interior designers do not start with a paint chart either. When they're working with clients or they're working on any commercial project, it's all about getting inspired first, getting some creative juice in to ignite the whole design process. So start with your inspiration. I'm gathering inspiration all the time. So I would say that if you're somebody who's passionate about interiors, whether as a career move or you want to do your whole house up or you just love it, this is your creative outlet, you should be gathering design inspiration all the time. We're awash with it. I mean, it's just incredible how much design inspiration is available online now. Pinterest, Instagram, blog posts. I mean, there's a thing called TikTok now. I can't quite get my head around it, but it's all going on over there as well. And obviously old-fashioned magazines too. And one of the things I teach is some really great ways of creating that library of how you can start organizing your inspiration and getting it filed. And also, Shelley just says she's loving the webinar, but she's got to leave early. She says she's going to rewatch it with their link later. Yes, everybody, this will be recorded and you can rewatch later if you drop off or suddenly you've got to put the kids to bed. No problem and no offense taken. Okay, so that's the one thing, is the internet. What I would say is, we call it the frenemy. Pinterest is your friend, but also your enemy, because you can get really overwhelmed with it really, really quickly. So there is a skill to using online inspiration so you don't end up completely overwhelmed. I'm actually a real fan of getting out and about for inspiration, seeing things in the 3D, because what I want to share with you is, this isn't about creating a look. Your dream home isn't something that just looks good. It's something that feels great. And in order to feel something, you need to incorporate all your senses. You've got to be in a space and you've got to feel it. And for anybody who thinks I'm bonkers, start doing it. Think about, what are your favorite cafes, bars, restaurants, hotels, art galleries, design shows. Go in. How do I feel in this space? This Art Deco cocktail bar, for example, or this kind of like industrial gastro pub, or, you know, the kind of thing like, is this my kind of vibe? What do I like about it? What I don't? I am doing this 24/7, always in spaces, analysing, why isn't this working? What is it I don't like about this? Or consequently, why am I feeling so alive and inspired and joyous to be in this space? So I think that's really important. Snap away with your camera phone, pick up brochures, flyers, take snaps on holiday. This is a picture I took in Essaouira in Morocco. I just love that pink and green combo. You might have seen that in some of my projects. Cities, natural landscapes, architecture, fashion and shop displays. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant place for color inspiration in particular. So design inspiration doesn't just have to come from interior design accounts on Instagram. In fact, I'd avoid doing that too much, because you just end up copying other people's work. It's much more exciting to create your dream interior if you're creating something original and authentic. So what have we got there? Oh yes, this is my favorite, one of my favorite places in Brighton, which is local to me. This is the Ivy, and this just gives me all the squeals every time I go there. It's got the most amazing marble and glass, beveled glass cocktail bar in there as well. But for me, it's the scale. I love the high ceilings, that big arched window mirror. That's actually a mirror. The gallery walls of crazy artwork, the oversized palms, the colors I'm loving, that electric emerald green. There's a lot of pattern mashing going on in there. I'm here for all of it. That is my kind of vibe. That is ticking my maximalist box. And so I could use this for inspiration on lots of different projects. Color schemes, there are sort of botanical jungle references here, the color palette, the textures. So, you know, you start picking these pictures apart. What are the metallics? What are the fabrics? What are the textures? What are the shapes? What are the accessories? What is the artwork? Start isolating the elements in a scheme and picking out what you like and what you don't like. Before I start any project or any room design, I always begin the process by asking, how do I want to feel in a space? There are lots of different, because I think if you decide how you want to feel in a space, then it dictates to a degree how you want to decorate it, right? So these are just a few emotions I've stuck down here. Do you want your space to be restful and calming? Or do you want to be invigorated and a joyful space? Are you more into creating a space that feels very timeless and still and elegant? Or do you sway more to spaces that feel striking and edgy? Do you want a space that's creative, inspirational, uplifting, or something that's moody and atmospheric? So you can understand, when you start by looking how you want to feel in a space, can you already start? I'm hoping your little synapses are sparking up here and you're already imagining the color palette, the design references. So for example, this space here that I designed for Dream Home Makeovers, they wanted first of all, they had the absolutely craziest, most enormous room you've ever seen, because it was a converted school. So it was all about creating a space that was for entertaining friends, that felt snug and cozy. So we used the color to really bring it in. They also talked to me about wanting a kind of speakeasy vibe. There was an enormous giant snooker table down the other end of the room. So again, the color palette really help bring that dark, moody with the low lighting and all of that kind of thing. Yeah, it's really powerful stuff when you can start to begin to match how you want the room to feel with the color palette. And again, color psychology course is where you learn how to do that. It's really quite magical stuff because we use rooms for different things, don't we? Oh, that was a slide about using Pinterest. I think we covered that already, didn't we? So here's some examples. These are all from my Channel 5 show that was on last year called Dream Home Makeovers, where we did 12, so mental. We did 12 different homeowners' houses in about 4 months. Absolutely nearly killed me. It was a crazy concept and schedule for a show, but it was great fun because we got to explore lots of different looks. So just putting these 3 images together, I hope you can realize that each room has been designed, first of all, to reflect the identity of the homeowner, all very, very different, from modern graphic mid-century vibes on the left, something that was quite eccentric and bohemian and maximalist in the top right, and something that felt more soft and pretty and open and welcoming on the bottom right. So everything is thought about here. The color palette, is it strong, is it bold, is it striking, and what effect does that give with the graphic colors? On the top right, patterns that are busy and a maximalist and a kind of color mashup creates quite an intense and dramatic and exotic vibe. And in the bottom right, using light pastel colors, pale blues, soft pinks, light colored furnishings to create a feeling that feels unthreatening and light and fresh and friendly. So just a little bit of an insight in how the different color combinations, whether you use pattern or whether you go for plains, whether you use graphic, bold or soft ditzy prints, these are all things that can really switch up the feeling in a space. And again, very personal. So have an opinion. Have an opinion. Do you like bold and graphic? Are you somebody who likes busy pattern and embellishment? Or do you like something softer? These are all different things that you need to think about before you've even picked up a paint chart. This is what I'm saying. My course, Confident Color Scheming, is a great course to really deep dive into this process, all the different elements, wallpaper, flooring, furnishings, accessories, textiles. It's quite a complex palette of things, isn't it? When you start to really dissect a room, there's lighting and layout, there's spatial planning, there's storage, there's finding your own style. Then there's all the different layers of elements that have to go together. So what I've tried to do with my online school is really break this down and help you go through things in an order, which I am going to share with you. So start off by writing your own brief. This is, for anybody who wants to jot this down, this is a really, really useful crib sheet to start any project. So ask yourself the 3 W's: who, what, when. Who's using the room? What are they doing in there? And when are they doing it? What's the vibe? What's the feel? Moody, creative, striking or elegant, calming, invigorating, all those sorts of things you're going to ask yourself. What's the style? So do some work in that. What's the style you like? This is also something that's really worth doing at this point as well, I think, is identifying what your room's best bits are. So have you got a room that's got fabulous high ceilings and that's the bit you love about it most? Or has it got a gorgeous window with a view outside? Or maybe it's got a really majestic fireplace. Incredible original flooring. I don't know. Look for the room's best bits. Also look for the room's problem areas. Awkward angles, strange proportion. Maybe the view out the windows not very inspiring. Maybe you've got low ceilings. So do an appraisal, and then you can work out as well what problems you can overcome with the decoration. That's the other thing, is decor can also help highlight your room's best bits and disguise or camouflage your room's not best bits. Right, what's next? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to take you through a project. some of you may recognize this if you watched Dream Home Makeovers last year. Still available on my 5 apparently to watch if you've missed it. But this is an opportunity to, like I said, try lots of different people's homes. This was Colin and Jane, one of my most favorite clients ever, mainly because they really knew what they wanted. It was really refreshing to meet a client who actually had a very strong sense of style. And as a couple, they both had very different ideas, but they had strong ideas. And I love that. I love people with a strong idea on what they like, because I can push them even further than they dare. It's a great challenge. The challenge for me as a designer is always like how to bring those two together, how to combine them, that, you know, without compromising either too much. I think that's really important. One of the most challenging things I know for all my students is how do you get the other half on board with your ideas? You know, the struggle is real. So this was their front room, where they had their sofa living area at the front of the house and a dining area at the back. And I identified quite quickly that the sofas are too big for the space. You can see already, can't you, how they don't fit the room. Classic Jane bought them on an auction site because they were really, really cheap and didn't measure up. And then when they arrived, realized they were too big. So we start with the layout, don't we, folks? Always, even when you're looking for a bargain. This is what I mean about having a design process. Had she done a measured drawing of her front room and a layout, she'd have known those sofas were too big. So you've got to follow the design process. You've got to follow the framework. But the room had lots of good points. So it had lovely original features. Look at that ceiling rose. Look at the cornicing. The fireplace wasn't original. They weren't so keen on that. As you can see, it's not in line with the rest of the Victorian architecture. But it had nice light, nice windows, nice light, and plenty of space. So this is what we identified. They had a love of period detail. They wanted to really celebrate the Victorian architecture of their home. They both love to travel. In fact, they'd just been traveling the world on a big road trip. And they came back, well, Jane in particular came back inspired by the rich, dramatic and saturated colours of India. That was her favourite destination on their world tour. They wanted me to solve their layout problems. They just felt the layout of the space wasn't working at all. Like I said, their furniture was too big for the space. And in terms of how they used the room, it was used by them to watch TV and read, but then they also opened it up to entertain friends and family. And it was their most used room in the house. Used it all day, 7 days a week, both in the day and at night. So we put together this concept board for them. First of all, I think I was very much, raring to go with this idea of the Indian colour palette. So I knew that that was bold colour, saturated, bright colour, and quite high contrast. For anyone who's ever been to India or seen any of those incredible interiors, the pigments always absolutely electric. And there's an element of it all being quite quirky and bonkers as well, which I love, love, love about India. So we put a palette together using sharp yellow, turquoise, sort of jade green, and a rich cobalt blue. Because the other thing I picked up on was Colin's love of Victorian architecture. And he shared with me that he had a particular passion for William Morris. And you'll see here a wallpaper, that yellow bathroom, and the swatch above it is a William Morris wallpaper that was recolored by designer Ben Pentreath in quite an electric sort of turquoise and cobalt color. So that really, again, thinking of your inspiration, that wallpaper swatch really kind of like sparked the whole way of how I was going to combine this William Morris Victoriana with this kind of Indian color palette. And I found the wallpaper that did that perfectly. I quite often use a wallpaper or a print or a piece of fabric or an artwork to inspire a piece of design. So mood board it out. First write the words, then write the mood board, then do the layout. And actually for this project, I don't know if you noticed that we ended up switching the dining room towards the front of the house, which was the roadside, and pulled the sofa to the back of the house, which was going to be easier for them to watch TV, because where the TV was in the front, it didn't fit in the alcove. And because it's knocked through, it just didn't work. So that was a genius reshuffle. So that's my other tip, is don't always assume that your layout when you buy a house is the layout that you'll adopt Always think outside the box and don't be afraid to switch stuff around. But that's why it's really important to do a measured floor plan, so you know that everything is going to fit your TV, your sofa, all the rest of it. Then the next stage is to come up with your core color palette. I said this wallpaper from William Morris was the starting point. And then with that, I picked the paint colors. I usually, when I'm at concept stage, pick 3 colors, something about 3 colors, which is enough to start a scheme. You can obviously have more than 3 colors in a scheme, and I regularly do that. But I think 3 core colors just helps give you that clarity and focus before it comes too overwhelming, and just reality check that they all sit nicely together. Then we start putting together product boards. That's the next phase. And this could be a mixture of things that you want to buy and also things that you already own. And it's a really good way of also creating a sourcing list of like, right, I need 2 armchairs, I need a rug, I'm going to need some lamps, I'm going to need some soft furnishings, lighting can go on there. So again, even before I've started and got the decorators in, I will already start working all this out. And what I want to share with you here is, although on a TV makeover show, this all got installed very, very quickly. This is why it nearly killed us all. But for you who are renovating at home or redecorating at home, what's brilliant about this is you can have a place where you put the furniture you already own, the pieces you need to source, and then you can take your time. Because I'm aware that very few of us have the budget up front. It's very rare that you've just got 5, 10, 15,000 pounds burning a hole in your pocket so you can just buy everything from scratch. But having a product board like this means that you've got a very clear vision and a very clear idea, so that when you go to that flea market, or when you're in HomeSense, or when you're scrolling through the internet, you might be like, oh, that's the ceiling light I've got on my product board. I need something like that. And my goodness, it's 70% off in the sale. I get it. Rather than the other way around, where we're like, oh my God, that's a complete bargain. I don't know where I'm going to use it, but I'm just going to buy it anyway. Doesn't always work out, does it? So have the vision first, follow the design process, and then you can slowly work towards it. The other piece of advice I've got for you is to always make sure you call in the actual swatches. So again, don't rely on the internet for paint colors or fabric colors or wallpaper colors. Even if you can get ready-made sofa companies to give you a swatch of the sofa, some of them allow you to do that. Then try and do that too, just a reality check that all the colors go together. A question here from Caroline. She says, Sophie, what software can you use to create these product boards? I use PowerPoint, and actually I do a course, Create Your Own Digital Mood Boards, which teaches you how to do all of this. Thanks for that, Caroline. And it gives you templates of how to do this, as well as these sorts of room mock-ups, which can be really helpful. I teach that on Create Your Own Digital Mood Board, which can also help you visualize. It shows you how to cut out things. You know, all of this stuff is available online internet shops, so you can screenshot, cut it out. You can take photos of your existing furniture, cut them out and lay it out. And again, this is really good. I mean, lots of interior designers do this so they can present it to the client, but this is also really good if you're trying to present something to your other half and you want to, you know, get them on board with your ideas, and you can show them how it's all going to work. Dina's on chat saying Canva's also good for mood boards. Yes, Canva is brilliant. So that's also worth checking out. And that's the dining room area. This actually, have to give a shout out. This is Barbara Romani, worked with me on this particular project, and she uses SketchUp, and this is a SketchUp mock-up. I don't teach that on my online design school because it's just the next level, but for anyone who's really serious about their design, then that is the way to do it. And Barbara she is an amazing interior designer. I loved working with her on this TV show. She is super talented. So then the next phase is your budget. Planning all the different elements. I use Excel or Google Docs for my product lists, and I put in the product. I get a little screenshot of it, of the product, put the web link and the price, and Excel or Google Sheets will keep a running total of your budget. Really, really important. I am going to launch a course on how to do this because I think it's super, super useful. It keeps a tab on every element of the design. You can put delivery dates in there. You can keep a running total of your budget. It's really easy to update. It's definitely worth learning to do. And like I said, keep an eye on my interior design school, because I will do a budget sheet lesson. I just haven't got around to it. I keep meaning to do it. And then here's the reveal. So there you go. So no scary surprises. You can see from the concept of the mood board, through the product sheets, through the little digital SketchUps we did. This was the finished project that married their love of Victoriana, celebrated their Victorian features of their home, picking out those cornices in that lovely bright blue. We created a little reading nook there complete with a built-in toy box for their grandson. And I absolutely love it. And it's totally them. I mean, it's totally bonkers, but they were bonkers. I mean, Jane had like purple hair, so it was perfect for them. I love it. That's their, oh, we even kept their huge sofa, but we moved it down the other end so it had more space to breathe. Found that Indian coffee table. I think Jane was really good on online marketplaces. She found that for 30 quid, that Indian coffee table. Isn't it brilliant? So again, managing your budget is an element of keeping elements you've got, reimagining them. We painted some old kitchen chairs of theirs in the bright blue. We've got a shot of that there. So that's their original chairs, but painted to kind of match in with this new color palette. Painted that ugly fireplace. Oh my God, I've got 10 minutes. I've got one more project to try and show you. I always go over. I'm such a nightmare. I wanted to show you Anna and Peter's house because it's completely different to Jane and Colin's. And Anna and Peter really struggled to work out what their self-identity was going to be. They'd always lived in a tiny flat in London. They were young. They were big into their career. They were kind of like, go out to work all day, get a takeout, come home, crash out couple. And then COVID hit. They moved, they got a bigger property, and they realized that the white walls and the beige sofa wasn't working for them anymore, and they really wanted to up the ante. So I had to dig quite deep with them to work out what their brief was. But essentially, they again got an open plan space for entertaining, but they also wanted it to be a place to retreat after work. So two quite different things. Anna said she wanted zebra print and monkey heads, more on that later. And Peter wanted a luxe kind of cocktail bar vibe. She liked teal, he liked white, and she wanted a lot of storage. There you go, that's an insight into their brief. And this was the mood board that we put together with them. Again, I worked with Barbara on this one. So using the teal as the main color, which they really identified that they liked. And then I think we were quite swayed by some fabrics we found. And we kind of went with a sort of Art Deco idea, this idea that they wanted this luxe cocktail bar vibe, but also Peter didn't want zebra print and monkey heads is what he didn't want. And interestingly, Anna said that she saw it on Instagram. She saw it on an Instagram post and thought it looked cool. And who's done that? And then she said, but when it comes to it, I really don't want it in my house. So sometimes, again, I think we can be swayed by what we see on Instagram and Pinterest. And when you really dig down, they wanted something far more simple. They weren't really into busy patterns. They weren't into maximalism. They kind of wanted it quite stripped back. They said they didn't want pictures on the walls. I mean, who doesn't want pictures on the walls? So the Art Deco vibe, I think, was the right kind of style for them because it's luxe, which was really important to Peter. He definitely wanted quite a show-off house for his mates. That was important to him. But it was also simple. And I think the Art Deco period is great because it has lots of geometric patterns, fan shapes, that kind of thing, without being too busy. So that was the concept for them. The layout was really important and really difficult because their front door is in that bottom right hand corner. That was where you came into the property. So we had to leave a lot of floor space to walk through past the living area, dining area, into this kind of reception area before you then led into the kitchen. And there was a staircase, open plan staircase as well. So again, doing a measured drawing was really, really important for them. And this is the concept. So again, it just helps you visualize how all the different elements go together and how the accessories, and there's a real visual language here, isn't there? I hope you see, like, stylistically, whereas the last one was quite Victoriana, boho, Indian mashup. This is a lot more stylized, clean lines, lozenge shapes, fan shapes, tailored, neat furniture and this very tight colour palette, balancing the teal with these sort of mustard and burnt orange colours. Absolutely lush. So there we go. That's our kind of decorating board with the wallpaper, the paint colours and the fabrics. This is also really interesting to do for your decorators. It's sometimes really good to actually have, like, we're putting this wallpaper here, we're using these paint colours. Can be really helpful to communicate using these boards with all your trades. The product board there. Anna and Peter didn't have any furniture because they've moved from such a tiny flat. Nothing worked in their new house. So they were buying everything from scratch. Using gold as our metallic. Always good to have a gold accent, I think, on everything. And again, just seeing all the different elements together and how they work. I think they found that sideboard. That was found on a secondhand site. We did loads of savvy shopping for this one. And then this was the dining area. I actually, for the show, took them to the Ivy. Do you remember the image I showed you at the beginning of this presentation? I took them to the Ivy because they just couldn't tell me what they liked. And I thought, my God, I've just got to take you somewhere. So we took them to the Ivy and they loved the sort of burnished mirror. They loved the banquette seating in that restaurant. And actually, because their layout was so tight, banquette seating was going to be a way of getting lots of people, because they have these big family get-togethers, lots of seating for people without it taking up too much floor space. So that was a clever little hack. And again, we took the idea of all the plants on a top shelf that was in the Ivy trailing down over the mirror. We did a bit of LED strip lighting, so the whole of that back mirror, fox mirror wall panel came alive. Ivana's asking a question. What's your secret tip for where to buy all these lovely products? What's your go-to shop? I mean, it so depends. So, for example, with Colin and Jane, they did a lot of vintage shopping because they liked old Edwardian and Victorian furniture. So they did a lot of buying stuff from secondhand shops, auction sites, things like that. And we used a lot of what they already had. With Anna and Peter, there was a lot from, because their budget was modest and their taste was very modern. I think there was a lot from 123 Furniture, Cult Furniture, Made.com, which is sadly not with us anymore, DFS, High Street, IKEA, those sorts of places. And then this was their little reception area that just off the kitchen where they were going to enjoy a morning coffee. So a couple of armchairs. We gilded the ceiling gold, which looks fabulous. And again, it's thinking out the box. It was a very tiny room. And I just thought the ceiling was going to be the perfect place to create that element of glamour and wow. They were so not sure about it. They were quite conservative in their tastes, I think. But I just thought it was going to give them that bling and that element of fun. And it was also a place to have their cocktail cabinet. Peter really wanted a drinks cabinet. Zoe's just messaged to say, could you do a course on decorating and design on a budget, please? I'm going to, actually, because I think it's time, isn't it? It definitely is time. And I've got so many insights on how to decorate on a budget. So yes, Zoe, I will plan to do that. However, I'd say Bold, Brave and Beautiful Interiors is a really good course if you're decorating on a budget, because it's all about high impact. And because it's a maximalist course, it is for the maximalists out there. It's how to combine thrift store with high street with upcycled. Because I think what I know from working on TV shows, to be honest with you, is when the budget's quite tight for things like interior design masters and stuff like that, they're hardly given any money, you know. But it really forces you to be creative. So I think having a tight budget on a redesign is never a bad thing. It's hard work, but it forces you to be resourceful. Anna and Peter's, I think, is the most shop bought project I've ever done, because they literally didn't have a stick of furniture and their taste was not for vintage and retro and secondhand. They had very contemporary, clean tastes. So yeah, this one was a lot of shopping. Then finally, the other thing I wanted to give you an insight into for your design process is always have a sort of, oh God, I've forgotten the word for it now. Oh, there is a word for it. Anyway, whatever. A list of instructions for your decorators and your trades. Have a document for that. Don't just verbally tell people, I want the walls painted in that, I want the ceiling painted in that, and the skirting boards in that. Just never, ever do that. write it down and save it on your computer, because also saving your paint colors when you come to touch up or repaint later down the line, it's really good to have that document. When the paint comes in, write on it: ceiling, woodwork, doors. It's really, really important to do that. Same with tiling, wallpaper, all that kind of thing. So that kind of completes a job spec. Thanks, lady. Thank you. Exactly. It's a really, really, really useful document, which I think, and, you know, along with, you know, images like this or like this, really helps the people you're working with understand what's going in there. The tiler knows the tiles are going there, the carpenter knows the banquette seating's going there, the decorator knows what's been painted, what colour. So as many visuals as you can pull together doesn't just help you, it will also help your trades as well. And measured drawings goes without saying as well. That's something else that you really need to get a handle on, how to do good measured drawings for joinery, for carpenters, for ordering flooring, for ordering paint, for having curtains and blinds made. Having all those specifications down, elevations, really, really also crucial part of the design process. We must be nearly there. Oh, it's just the reveal. It's just the reveal. I'm just aware it's 8 o'clock and I've got taken up a whole hour of your gorgeous time, but we're coming to an end. So here we go. Anna and Peter, who basically said they liked teal and white and they wanted lots of storage. And Anna's saying she liked zebra print and monkey heads. This is what we ended up with, and I loved working with Barbara and the team on this, my design team on Dream Homemakers. I thought it was just a complete triumph. That centre, for anybody who's got like knock-through spaces, these long sort of terrace houses, this was a semi-detached house. Those middle spaces can be really dark, and this is where the dining room was. So having good lighting, strip lighting and mirror really helped light up that middle space. It was really, really good. All of these makeovers, as somebody's asking where the rugs from, Millie is, all these makeovers are on my blog with links to where to buy everything. I actually can't remember where everything's from anymore. But yeah, you can check out Anna and Peter's makeover on my blog, Google it in the search button and it'll come up, and there's a list of all the products. You can see how effective that gold ceiling is as well, about bringing light back into a dark space. Really, really cool. And here it is from the other angles, looking from the living area back through the house that way. Again, I think you can see how effective with the lighting, and lighting's so crucial to any build, but how the lighting's been really effective in that center area. So the living room could be snug and more cozy and low lit to fulfill that element of coziness and retreat at the end of the day. And then when they want to entertain and have lots of people around, then you've got that sort of brighter area in the middle, which obviously all the lights can be turned off as well. And then the sort of party cocktail room at the back with the drinks cabinet and the gold ceiling for when they have those pictures. And that's me in the picture, Rachel. Yes, it is. You bring the tonic, alpaca the gin. They had a thing for alpacas as well, hence the pun. So yeah, that was, I'm really, really pleased with that. I think considering what it looked like to begin with, it was really, really good. We've got texture, not too much pattern, lots of reflective surfaces. That was really cool. So this is it, isn't it? This is what it's all about, helping you unlock your own decorating superpower. And I guess one thing is you can employ someone like me or Barbara Romani. Of course you can. Interior designers do an amazing job. But I think I'm on a little bit of a mission to help people get empowered for the reasons I said at the beginning of this presentation. Have that sense of pride in the projects that you run. Unleash your creativity. Do the work and find out what your authentic sense of style is. When you have a little bit of know-how, it takes away all that worry. I mean, lots of worry about making expensive mistakes. Oh, what if I paint it this color and I don't like it? It's going to cost so much money. What if I buy the sofa and it's too big? I'm going to have to send it back. Follow my design process and it'll stop you making those expensive mistakes. The other one as well is takes away the worry of judgment. I feel like that's quite a big thing too. People worry about how other people are going to judge them for their design decisions. I'd love you to get over that. I think if you design a beautiful space that's well put together, that's got good layout, so it feels nice to move around and you're not tripping over things or bumping your knees on stuff or knocking things over. You've got the room working on a practical level. You understand how to use color because you understand how different colors go together harmoniously and how to blend them, how to blend different patterns together. So it just works. Who cares if anybody else thinks it's good taste or bad taste? It's your taste and it's your home, and that's what really matters. If you decorate for yourself rather than trying to decorate to impress other people, that's when you're going to really, really love it. So it's all about following a process, getting that clarity, killing off the overwhelm, killing off the confusion. And then my final piece of advice is to then go at your own pace. I feel like this pressure to get everything done really quickly isn't really very realistic. It isn't really very good for you. And actually, I think some of the best results happen when you go slowly, as and when you get the resources, as and when you get the budget. Also, as and when you find stuff, you find those little gems. You want to be able to go to the car boot seller of a weekend and find that little treasure, or the flea market, or like I say, stumble into TK Maxx and find the perfect thing that was on your vision board. That's kind of, I think, the successful way to decorate it, because also, who wants it to ever end? I mean, interior design and decorating your home is truly addictive, so it's not a thing to be rushed. So my interior design school, I've seen a few people question what courses are the right ones to start with. I founded my online school in 2019. Taught over 5,000 people so far. Isn't that astonishing? There are 4 core courses you can choose from, and then a series of shorter courses and webinars, which are the ones I think I'm going to add to this year. All of them are intended to help you be your own interior designer, for you to make your own decisions, to empower you to feel confident, to empower you to feel creative, because it's where I share everything. And of course, I share things on the pod and on Instagram and on the blog. Of course I do, but this is where I bring it all together in this process. And you also get access to my amazing Facebook community. There's 2,000 of them over there on the private Facebook group. And these are all people who've done my courses. So they've all great fonts of knowledge, sharing their reveals, sharing their makeovers, asking questions, sharing suppliers and resources. It's really, really brilliant. So what course do you start with? Absolutely. Well, there's 4 core ones. Color psychology, as I said, everybody should do. It's brilliant. That's really good in terms of well-being, finding your own authentic style, understanding how to combine color palettes. Brilliant for that. Bold, brave, and beautiful for your maximalists. Really good for people who are maybe wanting to up the ante. Maybe you've already done your house and you're more into the styling and how you create all the beautiful things in your home. Be Your Own Interior Designer is really good for anybody on the renovation journey. A lot of what I've shared in this webinar is Be Your Own Interior Designer content, following that process. And then finally, confident color scheming is the most recent one I've done, which is a deep dive. I mean, this is for when you get truly addicted. We talk paint, wallpaper, flooring, different effects you can create, decorating different sizes of rooms, different aspects, trimmings, fabrics, furnishings, furniture. I get all the sweets out of the sweetie shop in confident color scheming. It's absolutely brilliant. And the good news is, until Tuesday, I've been running my January sale all month. It's done super well, but it ends on Monday, does it? I can't remember, Monday or Tuesday. You can buy 3 courses for 50% off. It's the biggest saving I do all year. I only ever do it in January. So it's to get everybody kick started in the new year. Everything else has got 20% off, by the way. So if you don't want the bundle, you can choose any of my courses for 20% off until Monday. But this one is Be Your Own Interior Designer, which is the framework that I've shared with you tonight. Following that process. Then it's also Confident Color Scheming, that one that I said is a real lovely deep dive. And then finally, the digital mood board course, which shows you how to put together those product boards and those room mock-ups so that you have a professional looking presentation, either for yourself or for your partner or for your trades. So it's an astonishing amount of knowledge and know-how. I mean, it's kind of like, it is the ultimate interiors bundle, because I think if you take those 3 courses, you are on your way, like you are off. And then if you want to like get more into styling and maximalism, you've got Bold, Brave and Beautiful Interiors. And as I said, Colour Psychology, everyone should do it anyway. It's absolutely awesome. So I've popped that link below. If you've got any further questions, of course, you can always email me or DM me if you're not sure. I understand it's a huge investment and you want to get it right. There is a 14-day no quibble refund. So if you buy into it, have a look and go, oh, actually, I just can't do this right now. It's fine. I'll give you a refund. No hard feelings. And also do check out that we also do installments over 3 months. So you can get the price down into little bite-sized bits. But like I said, this is the biggest sale I do of the year. I only ever do it in January because I want to give you all this beautiful knowledge to start your 2023 powerfully, confidently, and fabulously. So there we go. I think that's it. That's it from me. I have so enjoyed you all being here. Oh, I love it. Nicola's just said, can you do something on neutral schemes? She says she loves whites with pops of colour. Do you know what? I think there are other people who can teach you how to do neutral schemes. I can do neutral schemes. I did a neutral scheme on Dream Home Makeovers. We did a lovely neutral scheme. They're just not my jam. And I am fine with it if it's your jam. Like, I'm totally cool if you love a neutral. Absolutely knock yourself out. But I don't know if I'll do an online course on neutral schemes anytime soon. Having said that, I will also say, this is really important, especially with the colour psychology one, that not all my courses are for people who want a rainbow unicorn house like me. Absolutely not. I can't think of anything worse than creating courses that just make you have a house that looks like mine, because that is not what I'm about at all. I'm all about, as I said from the beginning of the webinar, what it is that you love is authentic to you, your own personal style. And if that's 50 Shades of Grey, or if that's very soft beige, which summer personalities, there you go, I'm giving you an insight into colour psychology now, tend to err towards, then absolutely I will show you how to do that. So if you like the softer color palette, check out Colour Psychology. I'm just checking I've got no more questions before we someone's message here saying please do something on decision fatigue and overcoming overwhelm. Do you know what I would say? I've got a vision board masterclass for £45. I'd do that if you've got decision fatigue and overwhelm. Just, you've got to get back to your vision, got to get back to your core vision, the focus and the clarity. This is what I mean, like, do the work at the beginning. Don't get into your renovation and then when the decorator goes, so love, what colour do you want the walls then? Then you start thinking about it, it's too late. So I'd recommend to start with that. Little vision board masterclass is really good to just get you grounded and back to basics. Lots of you thanking me. Well, thank you for all of this. I'm not seeing. Oh, Jennifer says, do you think it's okay to mix styles from room to room in the same house? So mid-century in one room, Art Deco in the other. I would say, Jennifer, that it's absolutely fine to have quite an eclectic home. I don't think you need to theme your house all Art Deco or all mid-century. But what I would say is, rather than theming each room differently, just blend and mix the styles. So you have a little bit of Art Deco. We call it like a red thread, so that there is some continuity throughout the home. So every room, of course, can look really different. It can have different color palettes. It could have an Art Deco wallpaper in one and a chintzy Jacobean floral in another, absolutely. But make sure you create a red thread. Bold, Brave and Beautiful Interiors actually is a brilliant course for teaching you how to do that. You can use it with materials or color palettes or patterns or design references, but just have something that makes all the rooms in your home feel like they belong to the same family, if you like. That would be my tip for that. Another question here from EKKS. Can you do something on lighting, please? Yes, that's on my list, to do a masterclass on lighting. I think that's a brilliant idea. Keep them coming. Anything you want me to talk about, I'm here. This is what I'm here for, to teach you whatever you want to know next. And thank you all my students who joined tonight and have been giving such lovely recommendations for my courses. I hugely appreciate it. I do it for you guys. You give me life. It's great. And thank you for, yeah, we've run over 10 minutes. Classic me. Oh, Grazie says, how do you choose if your room is north facing, south facing? I covered that in Confident Colour Scheming. We colour Aspect. It's called Aspects. And then Zoe wants to know what the bundle course is again. It's called the Ultimate Interiors Bundle. It's on my website, courses.sophierobinson.co.uk, or I have popped a link here in this YouTube caption box below. And that I think we just need to over and out. I think we're there. Yeah, no more questions. Thank you so much. And let's do this again soon. It's been fun.